I'm Scott Al Miller. It's the 26th of August 2023. This is my vlog of daily life living in Nicaragua, and today we are in Managua for a wedding of some friends who are from actually different parts of the country, but we are having the wedding here in Managua. So Paul, Dominica, Alan, Liz, and I have all come out to Managua in order to attend the wedding. So I'm going to have done in the past some episodes where I walk around in Managua and show you a little bit of the city. That was filmed while we were here for the wedding, which is today, and we're going to tell you all about the wedding here in Managua coming up after the bump. So today is the day of the wedding. I'm actually recording this in the future because if you've watched my wedding day videos, you know I didn't get a chance to do too much recording about the wedding on those days. We're gonna get to that, but today while I'm out recording, it is absolutely gorgeous. It is hot, let me tell you, but what a beautiful, clear, amazing day. Just blue skies, these puffy white bits, these little cottony things floating by. Those would be clouds, right? But it's, and the trees, and it's just that perfect light. And it's a little bit too warm. I'm in a black hat. I don't normally bring a photo camera with me, but today I'm carrying the D3500 because I just felt like getting out and doing some photography. And I'm currently waiting for my chef to finish her lunch, and then she's gonna make me my lunch. So I've got a little bit, and I'm getting to do middle of the day filming, which I don't get to do too often. And I'm enjoying getting out for a walk earlier in the day. And we have a lot going on this week, but I'm working really hard to get the videos a little bit more caught up. And I finally have one day of buffer at the time that I'm recording this. And while I'm doing this walk, I am uploading the Managua concert, which we attended last Friday and was amazing. And so it should have been up 2 days before you see this video. And that was fantastic. And with that, I went out and did a bunch of photography with the D3500 that I'm carrying right here on my backpack. And I got a lot of really cool photos, which are up on Nicagram. If you guys haven't explored Nicagram, there's very little there yet, but that is our Nicaraguan Instagram equivalent. And that's where we're putting photos from like these kinds of events. I noticed it's a little bit hard for me to talk because the camera bag actually pulls on my throat. That's a little bit of a problem. And I'm kind of scouting out some beautiful, you'll never see it on the GoPro because of the haze, but there's a line of volcanoes right there. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous in the bright light in the middle of the day. Love how it looks out here. So I recommend heading to nicagram.com and just checking it out. Like there's just a few things, but feel free, make an account. If you're gonna be visiting Nicaragua or you're interested in, you can follow along. We're gonna be seeing more restaurants, more bands, more people signing up over time. We're just getting started. We have like 20 people on there now. It's probably way more than that, but it's very few. And it'd be great if some of you guys signed up and started, if you're gonna be here, post some pictures, talk to some people, connect with whatever people you can, right? It's all very appreciated, and every little bit is going to help a lot. And part of the goal is making a system one that's a little bit more controlled. Who knows what Instagram's going to do in the future? Facebook and Meta and all them, they do wild things, right? One day they change it to like Instagram. One day they're like, well, this is not for photos anymore. And you're like, what? That's why we were there. I don't know what to do anymore. Now it's for chatting. Like, okay, but where did the photos go? I mean, it's there, but it doesn't work that way. All right, so Nicagram is like old school Instagram when people really liked it for photos. That's what we're trying to provide, but also a way to specifically connect on content in or about or from Nicaragua. And it could be anything, right? Pictures of your food, pictures of the volcanoes, go out to an event, take pictures of that, architecture, street scenes, whatever. Get out and do that stuff and post those pictures. We'd love to see them, connect. And of course you can do all the hashtag stuff and tagging people, whatever, that are there. So slowly the bands are showing up. So Managua from the other night, they have a page that's just getting started. So they're tagged, and Nicaragua, who goes out and does the photos, is there. And it's all it's all very cool. So that was fun, and really enjoying that, all that to lead up to. That's uploading right now. I'm heading out to a nice place where we can do some beautiful filming. I've got this field up here that I love how it looks. I want to get some photos and just get, I'm just feeling it like it's got to be a beautiful day today, and loving this walk. We're going to talk about the wedding in just a second. It's hard to get over just how beautiful it is out here. One of the things that I think people don't realize at all is that Western Nicaragua is a savanna. And so you get a lot of the same kind of landscapes that you expect from the famous safari areas of Africa. Of course, we don't have lions and elephants, but we do have some of these amazing scenes with distant volcanoes and large trees over big grassland areas. And it makes for some just stunning views, especially with the big sky and the big sweeping greenery and then volcanoes in the distance. I mean, seriously, does it get any better than this? I just stepped out and took some pictures with the Nikon. I think I'm getting some good stuff here. People stop by and they're like, welcome to Nicaragua. I'm like, yeah, I live up the road. But great shots out here today. It's a little bit hazy. Hopefully the camera cuts through a little bit of that, but we're getting some good shots. All right, so I found this beautiful location and we're gonna do our talk from here. The sun's a little bit harsh, but it's just so gorgeous. I wanted to be here and I wanna show the volcanoes. These are completely different volcanoes in the background than what we were seeing just a minute ago. All right, so we started off the day in León and we drove out to Managua in the late morning to go to the wedding. Now, we wanted to get into Managua, one, when there wasn't really any traffic, although it's Sunday, so it's really not a major concern. But we wanted to get into the hotel. We're staying at the Hilton Princesa, which is right downtown on the Carretera Messiah, or sometimes known as the Carretera, the Pistola Europea Union Europeo. It changes its name depending on where you are in the city. I think it changes at Suburbana, but I'm not actually sure. But people refer to it as Carretera Messiah throughout the city, and some maps show it as that and some do not. Anyway, beside the point, we're staying at the Hilton Princesa, and it's a beautiful hotel. It's a little bit expensive, so we wanted to get in and have access to the hotel for the day and to be in the middle of things. I wanted to be able to film in Managua for you guys, so we headed in on the early side. So we really left somewhere around 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, and we swung into Quesadilla Bone in Nagarote on the way there and picked up quesillos. Did I say quesillo? Quesillo Bone? I think I said quesadilla. Quesillo Bone. For those who are not aware, you haven't seen our episodes, quesillos are a local food here in León. You can get them throughout Nicaragua, but they are a Leonese food, and specifically from Nagarote and La Paz Centro. These are basically a slightly thicker tortilla, so it gives you a little bit of a pancake feel, but it is a tortilla with these big round things of cheese. They often layer them and then roll them up. They fill it full of salt and a caramelized or pickled onion sauce. That's like the major flavor of the thing. They put it into a plastic bag, fill it with fresh cream, seal off the bag, and then what you do is you bite the edge and you squeeze it through. And it sounds crazy. They are so delicious, especially when done really well. Bone is my favorite so far, and every time we go by, I'm like, you know, I really want one. And if you're wondering how much they cost, I think the ones we get are normally 30 Cordoba, so that makes it somewhere around the 85 cents mark to get one. That's really cheap considering it. I wouldn't say it's a full meal. If you're having like a small lunch or you're looking for that really good mid-afternoon snack, that's gonna do it for you. Like it's pushing a small meal. It's certainly on the small meal side, but it's also under $1, so feel free to get 2 of them, of course. If you're getting breakfast, it's common to get 1 and to get gallo pinto, the egg and beans mixture, with it, so that fills out a lot of the calories. But if you're just getting 1, we get the rodanda, and that is about 30 Cordoba. You can obviously just order 2, and you should be in really good shape. These are the things we also commonly get, sometimes on the street, but more commonly on the buses. It's common to sell them on buses. Why is it common to sell something so messy on a bus? I do not know, because you are eating something out of a bag that you bite a hole in and squeeze it through full of cream. The chances that it's going to make a mess is really high, and it's full of onions, so the chances that you're going to smell like onions is guaranteed. So we ate those. They were delicious, and Paul was even like, these are so much better than the quesillos I normally get. And we were on our way, got into Managua. We were too early to get into the hotel, but that's okay, and it's good that we only got the 1 quesillo, even though it's tempting to get more, because we wanted to go out to fancy lunch or brunch, actually, in Managua. So we headed into the Los Robles neighborhood onto Avenida Granada, where Scandinavo is. This is one of our must-go places in Managua. Now, if you're visiting and you're a tourist, it probably doesn't make that list, because this is important to note. When you're visiting anywhere, what you're looking for is the things that make that country unique. When you live in a place and you visit a city, then chances are what you're looking for is access to broader things that you're less likely to get in your home country. So you actually have very opposite desires as a tourist coming to Managua or as a Nicaraguan coming to Managua. And so we live here and we're looking for things that we cannot possibly get in Leon. And Scandinavo is a perfect example of this. It is a Norwegian bakery, and they do some classic Norwegian food that Dominica and I, we have a long story of when we were first married. We didn't have kids yet, and we used to go to Disney World all the time. This is back when Walt Disney World was famous for being a foodie destination, and they had some of the most amazing food anywhere. And we hadn't become world travelers yet, and we used to always, and this actually goes even farther back to the 90s when I used to go to Disney with my buddies like Eric and Mark, and we would go down and we'd go to the Norway Pavilion and get Norwegian food, and it would be one of our things to do because the food was unique and delicious and special. So we would do that a lot. And so Dominica and I did that for years, and we ended up with a number of foods that we really liked from there, and you can't get them anywhere else, right? And Scandinavo has those. They also do a lot of, as you might guess, salmon things like salmon breakfast and salmon sandwiches, and a lot of just more eclectic, very high-end baked good and sandwiches kind of place. It's not super surprising what they have. It's surprising to find it in Managua. It's very out of place, and you're like, this is food we don't get very often. Boy, do we miss it, and getting it in Managua is fantastic, and they do a great job at Scandinavo. So we go there, we get coffee, we get sandwiches or breakfast, and that's what we did today. Ate lunch, met up with some friends, and then when we were done having lunch, we headed and checked into the Hilton, got set up in our room. I'm not really a swimmer, so I'm not really looking to use the pool. A lot of people would go use the pool. It turns out that we had multiple friends staying at the hotel we did not know, so we didn't end up meeting up with them. It would have been very handy if we'd have known ahead of time. So once we were into the room, though, I pretty much just dropped off all my stuff, grabbed the camera, and went out to do the filming around Managua for you guys. So once we were into the hotel, I just set out to do as much of a walk as I could and film as much of Managua as possible for the day. And this actually was a beautiful walk. I had a wonderful time. I had about 3 hours, a little bit less, before we wanted to head out to the wedding. So I had a little bit of wiggle room. I sat out on the Carretera Messiah, the main road that's right in front of the Hilton, just walked out of the hotel, turned left, and headed north towards the lake. Not to the lake, just towards it. Went up and did a bit of filming. You guys should watch the episode the first day. I got a bit of a really amazing bit of the lake. So this is an absolutely gorgeous, and I'll try to show a little bit of it here as well, because we didn't show it all on that episode, but there's this beautiful lake in the middle of the city, and it's a volcanic crater. So there's a number of these around Nicaragua. Like, this is pretty unique that there's so many volcanic crater lakes around the country, and this one is a national preserve, so you can't go down to it or anything. I think there was a time when you could. Now you can only be up on the ridge and look down on it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's like a tiny little Laguna de Apoyo in the middle of Managua, and really clean water. And they do have a water treatment thing down there, so I don't know if they're like cleaning up the water that's there or what's going on. But they've got beautiful views and parks along it. So I went up and I kind of came upon it on the southeast corner, and there's another park as you approach it, like a beautiful area, right? The stadium is there, and then this thing. And so I walked around the lake to the west, and I'd never been on foot up there before. And you probably understand this, but when you're walking around, like, you discover completely different things than when you're driving around. So on the roads, on like the main roads going around this lake, we know it pretty well because we drive it all the time. But walking, there's whole neighborhoods I didn't know about. So I ended up skirting the lake and finding a park I didn't know about, and finding monuments I didn't know about, and finding a neighborhood I didn't know about. It was absolutely gorgeous and a really nice walk, and I had a great time filming and a great time walking. And it was overcast and kind of felt like rain. And once in a while, I get like this distant roll of thunder, and you're like, okay, we're doing all right. And I got to the northwest corner of the lake and went into what's called Plaza Intour, which is also connected with the Crown Plaza, which the word plaza is unrelated in those two circumstances. And this is like an outdoor shopping area with the hotel and a mall and a convention center and a bunch of stuff and a bunch of government offices in this big plaza very near the north side of the city. And it's a beautiful area, like absolutely fantastic. And so I get up there, and as I arrive, I'm like, okay, got some cool things to see. And even as I'm walking in, I'm like, okay, it's beautiful, we're doing okay. I get to the Crown Plaza front entrance, and we get a massive thunderclap, and the whole thing is super loud and big lightning strike, and instantly the rain starts, and it is just pouring on me just like that, no warning at all. So I ran into Plaza Intour and stood there and tried to take some shelter from the rain, but that didn't really work because I had a limited time frame. I couldn't wait it out. I'm in sandals, I've got my camera, like it was not a great situation. So as quickly as possible, I decided, okay, this is not going to work. There's no waiting, and walking is now going to be much slower than it was before, and going back the way that I came was not the fastest route, so I need to head the other way around the lake. At least I know my way on that side, so it's not like there's going to be surprises. So I ended up running through Plaza Intour in the pouring rain, getting down onto the road that is on the north side of it, heading to the east, and then getting on the Carretera Messiah and heading back, mostly uphill. That was really rough in the rain. Now, the rain felt really comfortable. Had I had on proper footwear that was not being destroyed by the rain, because I did do extreme damage to my expensive new sandals. They're like half a year old. They're probably like 10 months old at this point. But I did a bit of damage to them, which really sucks because I cannot replace them here. And because they get slick and you start sliding around in them while you're walking. And the instant that happens with my weight and the sliding and the dirt, because it's muddy water flowing up to my ankles, it just tears the bottom of the sandal. So a lot of damage to them on the walk, which really made me upset. So I'm out in sneakers today. And it took a really long time, but it felt really good, right? It was like a good temperature, and you don't get sweaty, and once you're wet, like, okay, whatever. But it was pretty nice, but I had to keep the cameras in my pocket, so I couldn't be filming. That made me really upset because I was trying really hard to get a bit of filming for you guys. And then, of course, because it got wet, or maybe just coincidence, it didn't get audio for the little bit I did record during that time once the rain had let up for a minute, and I thought I could take out the camera. So I was really bummed about that didn't work out. So I lost a lot of filming. I got some great stuff, but didn't get nearly as much as I had wanted or planned on. So I raced back, got to the hotel, really quickly jumped in the shower because I was disgusting. I was covered in street mud, like cars would go by and road grit would fly all over me. And some places the water flowing is pretty clear, and in other places it really isn't. And the water on the ground is warm because the ground is really hot. So that was weird. Now I need to mention, just before I got to the hotel, there is a Puma gas station with a Super 7 mini mart. I ran in there. I was so wet they had to follow behind me with a mop. I kid you not. They were actually mopping behind me. It was just drenched. And of course I have a hat, so that's drenched. I'm drenched. The clothes, like everything is soaked completely. I might as well have been swimming for real. Like there was no bit of me that wasn't completely wet. And I went in and I hadn't had anything to drink for a couple of hours. I was a little bit thirsty when I set out. Not like a problem, just a little bit thirsty. And I can definitely do a 2-hour hike without needing water, but I'm heading back to the hotel. I wanted to make sure I had things. I wanted to be hydrated. So I grabbed two Gatorades at the mini mart, and I didn't want to carry both, right? Because I got the GoPro, I got stuff in my pockets, I have my phone. So I'm like, I only want to carry one, but I need to hydrate. So I grabbed one, and as quickly as I could, just slammed it, threw it out, and then carried one and sipped on it on the way back to the hotel. Got back to the hotel, finished that other Gatorade, showered, changed, cool new suit, which you'll see in a second, and then we were off to head to the wedding. Pretty much, Dominica was half ready by the time I got there. Like we were starting to get underway, and so we made good time. We got to the wedding at about 10 minutes before 5. Wedding's officially at 5. Now, a lot of people in like Leon are like, it's Nika time. And we're like, I don't think things work on Nika time when we're talking like this kind of event. And we were absolutely right. That wedding started 3 minutes before 5. So the doors were closed before the start time, which is exactly how it would happen in the United States, in much of Western Europe. Like you say 5, that means your butt's in the seat, you are ready to go, everything before 5. It shouldn't start before, but when they're like locking up the doors, putting people into position, you're expected to be quiet is before 5. It's kind of like when you start work in North America. These are some of the weirdest insects. These are moths. I'm sure you can't hear them on the video. they're making the loudest clicking sound as they fly around. It's clearly two moths mating. I've never heard moths be so loud. Like, they're obviously talking to each other as they flew by. That was wild. In North America, when you're going to a job, you're not expected to arrive in the parking lot at 5. If you're starting at 5, you're expected to be inside, able to clock in at or before 5, which is a little bit obnoxious because, like, there's no latitude in one direction, right? Oh, if you get here at 4:59, that's fine, but if you get here at 5:01, it's not, which means you have to absorb all of the risk of getting there instead of the business. It should be 50-50. Well, as long as it averages to 5 over time, that's cool, if you're even concerned to that amount, which you shouldn't be. The moths are now in another field. I can hear them an entire field away. I can see them as they fly into the distance. They're that loud. Wild. It's so loud that I can just spot them wherever they are. Crazy. So we sat down and got started, and beautiful ceremony, a little bit warm. We're in a church. It's just air cooled, but it had like good design. It was a modern church with good airflow design, but the doors are closed. So it's only the air going over the top of the church and like however they've designed the airflow to keep it cool, but it wasn't bad. And there were fans going, and we were able to sit where I kind of got like most of a fan, but I'm in a suit. So I'm definitely on the warm side. As we got towards the end of the ceremony, about 45 minutes to 50 minutes in, I got an alarm on my watch that it said I was having a cardiac event based on my heart rate was spiking for no good reason. And so so for those who don't know, my resting heart rate is about 68. This shot up to 128 and held well above 110 for 15 to 20 minutes. So, wow. Now, we did talk about this a little bit on the show, but I'm putting it into the context of where we are and what was going on. And so that was really surprising and a little bit of a panic-inducing thing. So I didn't want to leave the service, and they're like, take off your jacket, take it. I'm like, I'm not overheating. Like, I'm warm, but I can tell I'm not overheating. It's not really a thing I do very much. Like, the chances that I'm going to overheat and cause a problem is very unlikely. I might have another problem and then overheat because of it, but not the other way around. And so, and I was sweating, but not sweating like profusely, like there was a problem. So we're trying to figure out what had happened. As soon as the service was over, we stepped outside, got some fresh air, took off my jacket, started cooling down, but nothing was changing. And they're like getting ready to go to the hospital. And Dr. Liz was there. She's a veterinarian, but it's all about the same. Humans are just another animal, right? And she's like looking at my watch, and she's like, okay, so you're going through some heart history. And we grabbed Dominica's watch because hers is the upper model with the EKG on it. Mine is just the heart rate monitor. So we put it on. I did the EKG. It came out clean. Dr. Liz read the EKG to make sure it was clean. I had other there's a lot of doctors there just in case it was absolutely necessary. I mean, the bride is a surgeon, right? So one way or another, there's people there. And but I'm like, I don't feel that bad. I feel a little bit weird because my heart's way too high, but other than my heart's too high, I don't particularly feel anything, and nothing feels like it's been triggered or anything. So we're like talking through what it could be, and Dr. Liz goes, is it possible you're having a potassium issue? I'm like, I haven't had a banana, I haven't had a plantain, I haven't had that much food. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I had 2 Gatorades in the span of 15 minutes. One as fast as my body could put it down, and the other about as fast as anyone drinks a normal drink, because I will normally take in fluids at an unbelievable pace. You give me a liter of water, I can just drink a liter of water without thinking about it twice. If I don't have to like save it for something, I'm just going to drink it, right? I don't save a liter. If that's not like small enough quantity or a large enough quantity for me to be like half now, half later, I just drink a liter. So I'm like, I just had a lot of Gatorade, and they're like, oh, that has to be it. You need water to flush it. So we ran to the car, turned on the air conditioning, grabbed a liter of water, and I just pounded that. And literally within like 2 minutes, my heart just came right down. Everything was fine. Really obvious that I had a bit of dehydration combined with potassium overload. Now, why those drinks give you so much potassium that you can't have 2 of them without it causing a problem? If at my size and weight, I can't hydrate with 2 drinks without causing a problem, that means normal people are risky at a single one under many circumstances. That's a problem, right? That's crazy. So be very careful with those hydration beverages. I think now we're starting to see a lot of talk of how important they are. That, oh yeah, you need them, especially as the world is heating up, so people are sweating more. A lot of people, especially in like North America and Europe, are experiencing heat in ways they aren't used to and are potentially facing dangerous situations. And we've seen someone just died recently in the US. I mean, one person, like, it's an outlier, but she died from just drinking a normal amount of water. She got too dehydrated, slammed too much water, debalanced her body, had an issue. Probably had other issues. That probably just exacerbated it. But people are facing new requirements in hydration that they haven't had to face previously, and that is creating some risk for people who live in those environments. It's kind of like people who live in Phoenix, Arizona know exactly how to hydrate, because if they don't, they died long ago. But people in, say, North Texas, who are used to it being warm, but not so warm that they have to know how to hydrate effectively, may be facing situations where they're dehydrating or overhydrating or forgetting to control their salinization, and may not have the training to know what to do. So because of that, I think we're getting a lot of push from places like the US and Western Europe to use things like Gatorade as a replacement for water, because many people are accidentally allowing their salination levels to go too low. However, if you're not having a salination problem, those things over-salinate you. They're selling them, meaning like doctors are promoting them as if they're perfectly balanced for your body and you can drink them in unlimited quantities. That is in no way the case. They are a replenishment. It is in amongst taking lots and lots and lots of water in. You can supplement with this once. That is very different from being balanced for you. If you see some of these people doing these ads, and you see this on YouTube. Basically, if you see it on YouTube, he says on YouTube, it's BS, right? So there's this video that pretends to be a video, but it's an ad, where they're like, I can drink a whole bunch of water, but I don't have a natural water reservoir in my body, so when I drink it, it just passes right through me. You got to have something that's balanced for your body. And then, of course, it's like Gatorade or electrolyte or whatever. That's utter bunk. Like, obviously you are designed to take in water. That is how humans are designed. That is the thing we've always had access to. When you drink water, it immediately enters into a salinization pool inside your body. The fact that you drank pure water does not make it not saline once it's inside you. It's like instantly saline, and your body puts it into the places that it needs it. That's what your body's designed to do. Likewise, the thing that they're trying to sell you, let's say it's Gatorade, I'm just picking on Gatorade, Powerade, Electrolyte, Pedialyte, whatever, you don't have that as a reservoir in your body either. So the logic they use for why water doesn't work rules out basically everything else. So that doesn't make any sense. So taking in, Electrolyte or Powerade, your body, first of all, doesn't have anything that's bright red or fruit flavored. It does not have anything with artificial flavorings. It doesn't have anything with sugar like that. It doesn't have anything with that amount of salinity anywhere in your body. It has to mix it with pure water somewhere, or nearly pure water, to dilute it so that it can put it in the same way that the water has to be salinated before you can use it. That stuff has to be desalinated before you can use it, or diluted. So that's all it takes. Think about that for a second. That's how scammy those things are. But just a warning to my readers, if you're in a place, whether you're in the United States and it's warming up, or you're in Western Europe and Italy and you've never faced the kind of temperatures you're facing now, or you're coming to visit Nicaragua and you're experiencing lots of heat that you may not be used to, you're coming from Canada and Nicaragua is just really, really warm compared to what you're used to, be aware you need lots of water. When you have lots of water, you probably need to supplement with some amount of electrolytes. Don't think that electrolytes are a replacement for water. They are a supplement to water. And if you have suddenly elevated heart rates, consider maybe you have too much potassium. Nicaragua is the land of potassium in everything, so it's easy to end up with quite a lot of it without realizing it, because it's in our chips, it's in our breakfast food, it's in we have high levels of potassium in a lot of things, just because of what we eat here. So once we knew my heart was okay, we were in great shape, and we took off to go to the reception, which was at the Japanese Gardens, or the Japanese Park in downtown Managua. I've never been to this park, even though we've spent a lot of time really, really close to it. So it was really interesting to get to go there and see what that was like, and what a beautiful park that is. But in the middle of the park, they have actual buildings where it's like an event center in the middle of the park, and it's perfect for like a large wedding, and that's where they had booked. And we walked in. It was gorgeous. Like, first of all, it's just physically gorgeous. It was also air conditioned. It was the strongest air conditioning any of us have any memory of witnessing in Nicaragua in all the time that we've lived here. I mean, it was cold. I was in a full suit. I'm in heavy shoes. I have socks on. I'm in pants that go all the way to my shoes. I am in a dress shirt, long sleeve, heavy. I am wearing a jacket over that. I have suspenders on. I do not have a hat, obviously. And with all that on, I was cold. I was actually shivering in the reception. That's how cold it was. That's crazy. I've never had to say I was shivering in Nicaragua before. That just doesn't come up. There are times where you're like, oh, this is really fresh, I'm enjoying this. But there's never a time where you're like, it's too cold, I wish I had an overcoat. The reception was absolutely gorgeous, and we were all very impressed with getting to go to a wedding of this caliber. Like, this was a seriously impressive wedding. The wedding itself is in a church, so you don't really get to see too much of how fancy it is or how well done it is, what the design is. Although we did notice in the church, they had an awful lot of lighting and camera people. Like, I do a bit of recording. These guys had multiple Ronin gimbal systems. They had really good cameras. They had photographers and videographers. They had microphones all over. They had all kinds of flash units all around the church. It was impressive. And then, of course, all that came to the reception as well. The first thing we noticed after the air conditioning in the reception was that they had a neon sign made just for the reception. That's really cool. The whole thing was beautiful, beautiful hanging flowers. It was like the outdoors, indoors, and great music. Just the whole thing was really well done. We ended up getting to sit at a table, which was mostly our people. We actually know the couple who's getting married because the headhunter that works for us that had brought them into the company, because this is one of our employees, is the groom. This is the headhunter that brought us together. It turns out he actually is the person who introduced them. He used to be both of their boss when they worked for a medical group a long time ago. And so we got to sit with him and hang out, which is a big surprise. I had no idea he was going to be there. So that was really cool, getting to hang out with one of our guys that we don't see too often. We see him from time to time, but not all the time. And because you know, he lives in Messiah, they live in Shenandoah. Like, we're all over the country, so we don't run into each other that much. But because we have the hotel and the beach, we do see people as they head out to the beach quite often. So the reception was just amazing. Like, everything was just perfect. And for dinner, they had a selection. It was like a buffet, but really fancy buffet. Excellent food. They had a list of all these different meats, and so all the meat eaters are very excited. And of course, we're vegetarian. We didn't expect to eat here. We already have backup dinner plans if there's no food. Of course, you always do when you're vegetarian, especially when living in a place like Nicaragua. Like, people just often don't accommodate vegetarians. We get into the food line and we're going through, and I'm like, hey, can I get some extra potatoes and some of this? Like, I would like a double salad. You know, it's just a green salad, not like a Caesar salad or something. And I say, because I'm vegetarian, they're like, you're vegetarian. And they bring out the most amazing veggie lasagna. And they're like, there aren't that many. Do you want a double helping? And they're just piling on the veggie lasagna. I'm so glad I got a double helping because it was fantastic. Like, best lasagna I've had. The wedding lasagna was significantly better than the veggie lasagna at Sua, which is like the best restaurant here in Leon, it's really good lasagna here, but that was so much better. I was so impressed. All the food, the salad was really good. The potatoes were good. Every little thing was good, but the lasagna, I assume that the meat dishes were equally mind-blowing, but the lasagna was fantastic. So I ate until I was sick, of course. And we stayed, but we didn't stay super late. You know, we're kind of farther out from the core group. We're not like the close friends. We're not the family. So we're in that group that tend to leave on the early side. Plus, we had people with us who had to get up early in the morning, and we had stuff we have to do tomorrow. So we had been talking about going out clubbing tonight. And of course, we always talk about that. Look, we're all in between our mid 40s and late 50s. So the amount that we want to go out and the amount that we want to go out when the time comes are very divergent. We're still all young enough that we remember the idea of enjoying ourselves, and we all are old enough that we understand the pleasure of sleeping over going out. There's like a point of your life where it's like, I could go out and I would enjoy myself, but I also know that I could go to bed and I know I'll enjoy myself more. So that's where we were. Everyone talked about it. Everyone was like, yes, going out. But then by the time we got to actually going out, it's like, yeah, but no, bed. I'm very glad we made that decision. Although going out did sound like a lot of fun. Having really good food and managing to go out and then go sleep in a really nice Hilton Princess hotel was perfect. And then that's going to mean that I'm able to get up tomorrow, have energy, go out and do some more filming and get some more of Managua for you guys. So, which already happened on the show. We did 2 days in a row in Managua. I'm certainly going to go back and do a lot more. Walking Managua is fun. There's so much to explore. That's one of the things I like about that. Normally when doing bigger cities, you get so much more than you do in small cities. Here in Leon, when I'm exploring all the little side streets, it gets pretty, you know, I mean, we enjoy it and it's good to see the barrios and there's a lot of value to it, but it's not the same as exploring off the beaten path in Managua, where there's just endless varieties and big city and little village and like quirky restaurants. There's just all kinds of things that you don't get in a Leon or a Granada or whatever. So I think that's going to be really good content. We're going to try very hard to do a lot more of that in the future. And a number of people have reached out and said Managua content is something that they really do value. So we're going to make more of an attempt to do that for sure, along with other places. But that one specifically, a lot of people, a surprising number of people for me, are interested in. I think Managua falls into a kind of a black hole of you can't figure out what there is to do there. And at least people with, like, you get this combination of, well, I don't want to go there because no one goes there. Like, obviously it's off the tourist path for a reason. And then other people who are like, it's an unknown, I want to go explore. And so that combination, it's just a very different city. So I think being able to bring some of that, I really want to go explore some of the really popular things, which is funny because, like, when I go to Managua, I'm never filming where everyone else films. There's like some really specific things that people hit when you're a tourist, and it's really obvious, right? When you go to, like, if I go to Tegucigalpa, I'm a tourist, and so I stay in touristy areas and look at the tourist list and do touristy things. But when I come to Managua, I'm a local who's just going to the local city, and I don't do those things. I go shopping and I go to dinner and I'm trying to get food that I can't get in Leon. And so my view of Managua is so different than that of a tourist in Managua. Like, I watched a show from a tourist who'd been to like 70 countries, got to Managua. He wasn't even familiar. He didn't know the city existed before, like a day before he got there, and got off and just walked around empty zones because he was there at the wrong time of day. Didn't know where to go for things, and like his view of Managua is so different than mine. Like, I was there the same day that he was, and like my stuff was so, like, I'm doing all these exciting things, it's so busy, there's so much to do, and he's like, it's just empty, there's no people in the city. And you know, it's a city where people shift around. You got to know where and when to go different places to get different content or experiences. So I think there's a lot in Managua that we're going to want to bring to you. Anyway, it was a really awesome day of filming. The rain was a challenge, but the camera still works, so feeling good about that. It was the GoPro 9, for those who are wondering what one went through the abuse, and the wedding was fantastic. We're so glad we came down. Congratulations to the bride and groom on an absolutely beautiful and wonderful wedding. They're heading off, I believe, to the Corn Islands for a honeymoon, and thanks for joining me, everybody. Get down in those comments, let me know what you want to see. Say hi, whatever, right? The more interaction, the better. Share with your friends, post on social media, and I will see all of you tomorrow.